do some sketchy shit. Do-da, do-da, hope I get away with it. Oh, do-da-day.
Hi there, folks. I'm Dan Hollifield, and welcome to another solo Last Man Standing. Stupid Clock has several people there, but most of them are going, "Oh, I've got to do X early in the morning," and I'm going, "Don't worry, everything is fine." Yes, this is supposed to be the after party of Stupid O'Clock, but most of the people in Stupid O'Clock no longer need an after party. It's not like we are still in the throes of the 2019 plague that ruined everybody's life forever. So, I'm just sitting here freewheeling for a while. I will say that went to LibertyCon this weekend, or this past weekend, and oh my God, it was an amazing event. And because of the new people that are joining in, a bit of a madhouse. Now, don't get me wrong, all my old friends that are surviving, that are still there, were there, and it was really, really fun to spend time with them. There are two in particular I'd like to name, but I don't know if they want me to say their names on camera, so I won't. But there were several empty chairs along the table. We've lost quite a few, although I did see a doppelganger of someone who I know for a fact had passed a couple of years ago, and he just walked past me in the hallway, and I go, "You are exactly not going to say the name that guy, body and soul. If you're not if you're not aiming for the gaming room to spend all your time, I don't know what you're doing, but you look exactly like this person that I knew back in the day who's no longer with us." Lindsay had one of those experiences as well. Someone she knew for a fact was no longer with us seemed to be walking down the hallway, and I'm going, well, it actually is the world's greatest convention. I mean, Dragon Con, bugger off. You're just a large media thing. This is friends um, having a good time, trying to remember everybody and respect everybody. But no, she and I both saw people that obviously could not be whom they greatly resembled. And it's kind of cool. Uh, my friend Sean was having a very rough time with his biochemistry. He needs um, a liver transplant urgently in order to keep living. But I don't know if they found a donor and matched him up with Sean yet. Needs to happen as soon as possible. I'm very sorry because whoever would be donating the liver Sean needs would, I sort of say quite possibly, but no, quite definitely no longer be with us. I'm not sure how I feel about someone I may or may not have ever met willingly contributing a vital body part in order to save my friend's life when I know that if that body part were removed, the donor would be mandatory death penalty basically. It's complicated. Um, the moral issues I see, the relationship issues I do see, but it's none of my business because it's not part of my family. Privacy has to be respected. Privacy has to be respected. Um, and there's always a chance that no matter what the tissue matching comes up with, it might not work. Hope it does, because I want to keep my friend around for many, many, many more years. But there's a chance it's a fairly sizable chance that he will not survive long enough for the liver transplant once they find a donor, match it with him, and are willing to do the surgery. I just don't know. I just don't know. I'm praying. I mean, I'm not a praying kind of person, but I'm still praying. Um, think I'm mixing like 7 different religions at once, but who cares? Uh, any word up is all right. Uh, my friend had a really bad day during the convention and wound up in a coma for a lot of that particular couple of days. Thankfully, his wife allowed a medical team to come up, get him ready to go, and take him to um, a nearby major league hospital. There was a lot of very good people that worked at that hospital. Yes, I'm trying strongly not to name names or tell tales, but there's a fellow named Blake who was hotel staff that helped my wife, former nurse, to decide that nope, calling an ambulance is not beyond the limits of friendship and propriety. Um, she does worry a lot about what other people think, and y'all know me. I'm just a redneck farm boy. I don't care what anybody thinks at any time. Only people's respect I need is my wife's and my mother's. That's it. Lindsay, Mama. That's all I care about. Uh, I would like to please other people in the family, but if I don't, no skin off my nose. Um, Free Ravens gave me another achievement coin, not a challenge coin, but an achievement coin for Disposable Man. And the publisher made it a point to tell me that it was one of the most fantastic noir mystery science fiction stories he'd ever read. And I thanked him profusely, but I'm quite sure that his um, classical sci-fi, uh, semi-modern sci-fi, and classical. What is the word for that? I'm not sure. Um, it's not mythology, but that it's in the right direction. Classical mythology sort of thing. Um, as well as a very good action story and just an easily definable look into what the Cold War must have been like for people who were living through it instead of me, someone who was born on the tail end of it and just had to find out about it from Walter Cronkite or David Brinkley and Chet Huntley. And you don't know who any of those three people are. And that's why you accept the not quite accurate news from um, CNN, Fox News, Al Jazeera, whatever it is. Al Jazeera is probably one of the closer ones to the absolute truth, but the rest, they have agendas, and I don't really want to um, partake of agendas. So, oh, well, I know what I could do to kill half an hour if I really was so inclined. Um, otherwise, I could just end the thing now, right now, and play the end credits and go away. Let me see if I can do this reliably. And yes, I am squinting one eye and wondering where my mouse pointer has gone. But we'll figure it out somehow. We will figure it out exactly somehow. Yeah. Oh, that's the written version, which is good, but most people want to hear the audio, which, yeah, I did record. I was the voice actor on this. Let's see if I can actually find the link. It's getting kind of weird, but this directory I'm looking at is all bills. Okay, that's the wrong click over. No, that's the wrong directory too. Now where? I thought I linked it. Really don't know. Alright, we will try something a bit more of a long shot and see if I can get this correct. Nope. That particular subdirectory is not particularly helpful. So let me see. Wait a minute. There's got to be something here for my other accounts where people can hear the music all right and decide whether or not they like it themselves. And if you do, I'd be really, really chuffed. I mean, you don't have to buy anything. You don't even have to leave reviews. Just tell me you enjoyed it, and I will be just absolutely uh, out of this world. All right. Here's where it is. I'm actually going to play this. It's uh, 21 minutes long, but it's not me waffling for 21 minutes. Now I've got to go back here and go present, share screen, click, share in the audio, and see if I can start this and see if it'll work. Old Dan by Dan L. Hollifield. Old Dan lived up on the ridge somewhere. Some said it's up near Eagle Bluff. Some said it's further off towards the lake, but it's well away from the usual stomping grounds of the city folk who hunted up that way. Nobody knew quite where. I hear tell that the sheriff knew how to find this place, but only ever went up there alone. Even then, only when it needed the old man's help or advice. There was stories, you see, about the old man up on the ridge. He showed up at the general store in Jacksboro for supplies about once a month. Sometimes at weddings, sometimes to attend funerals. Once or twice when a new baby was baptized. Didn't matter which church. If old Dan graced your service, you counted yourself blessed, 'cause you felt you were. He'd come walking into town, pair of dogs at his heels, wearing a big hooded wool coat like a mountain man would in the cold weather or the rain. Well-worn overalls underneath and big boots on his feet. He had a gray beard and long silver gray hair tied up in back like a Cherokee. Had a hat that looked like it could have come straight off a rebel soldier or a riverboat man. It done seen some years, I tell you. But it was clean, if a little worse for wear. Sometimes he had a tall walking stick made out of a hickory sapling. He'd buy his victuals at the store, maybe trade the grocer man a fine mess of watercress or spinach greens or a sack full of fresh picked corn for some of it. Always paid in cash or old coins. Then he'd put his groceries away in a big old one strap oilskin sack he'd throw over his shoulder. Then he walked out of sight back towards the ridge. Polite man. Quiet, too. Soft spoken. But he had an eye for the ladies. Made him feel special when he offered a word, tipped his hat, and made more than a few of 'em blush from a quiet remark and a gentle smile. And that voice of his was like magic, like silk on bare skin. Many a fair maiden wished it was still fashionable to swoon when he sweet talked her. Nobody knew who his family was. Nobody knew how long he'd lived up on the ridge. Nobody knew for sure just how old he was. He was just always there, somewhere around, like the hills themselves or the rivers or the oak trees on the mountains. But all the same, people stayed away from where he thought his house was, especially after that time the revenue men come running back down off the ridge like they was being chased by a bear. Seems that they thought he must be running a still up there. Well, maybe he was, but nobody ever claimed to have bought any liquor off of him. So they marched themselves up on the ridge with their dogs and their guns and their shiny badges. And then they come running back down like the wrath of God was behind them with the flaming sword, like right out of the Bible. Old Nan turned the guns and badges in to the sheriff when he come down the ridge himself a week or so later. Said they must have throwed him down to run faster, or whatever they thought was chasing him. Said his dogs was barking up a ruckus that evening, fit to chase off a mountain lion, he said. And he'd found the shooting irons and 10 stars laying around on the trail when he next come down to go to town, like he was just picking up the trash left behind by careless hunters. The sheriff was always respectful to old Dan. Few of the revenue men told stories about coming up to a place on the ridge where the native rock grew out of the ground like pillars of some ancient temple. Half was melted and other half hand hewn, but hewn by whose hands? Human hands or other? Some talked of a small house and a garden and sounds of a party in full swing, or a quiet mansion surrounded by the feelings of goodwill, peace, and contentment. Still others talked of guard dogs, or with the bears, or wolves the size of bears. Some wished to return under other circumstances to join that party they thought they'd heard. Others moved away, way out west in the empty spaces of the desert, where they could be sure that nothing was sneaking up on them. And still others chose to retire, to move up on the ridges and valleys of the Smoky Mountains in search of some kind of peace and fulfillment inside themselves that they never knew they needed till that night. The old man always turned up search parties when somebody went missing in the woods or out by the lake. Him and his dogs would join the party and almost always found the path where the folks got lost. Sheriff said they was good hunting dogs, that's all. Nobody ever said a bad word about the old man. He was kind of standoffish, but kind and generous to everybody. Now, he did have a throwdown with that so-called traveling preacher that come through, and people was saying preacher was getting handsy with some of the children. Old Dan showed up at the preacher's revival tent unexpected like one evening, dressed up in his finest Sunday go-to-meeting clothes, an old suit that was clean, if a tad out of style, with a starched collar, one of them there string ties them Kentucky colonels like to wear. Looked downright impressive to hear tell. took to the stage to stand by the lectern without any warning, and proceeded to give one of the most hellfire and brimstone sermons anybody could recollect ever hearing. Started off with "Suffer not the little children," and then went on about how the fiery pit was ready for them that dares lay a hand on one of the Lord's precious little angels, all the while giving a look to that preacher that made a platoon of hardened soldiers quake with fear. Everybody's waiting on the lightning to fall down on that preacher. No man's sermon was that powerful. Preacher packed up in the middle of the night and run off to further pastures, and left his tent behind. The fact that old Dan's two dogs went on stage with him and sat, unbidden, to either side of the old man's feet, showing the teeth of that preacher and quietly growling a warning, didn't do anything to gentle the stories afterward none. Them dogs got respect from the people, too. About them dogs, people said they was part wolf, maybe mostly the wolf, or looked it anyways. They was waist high at the shoulder and muscled like a full-grown bull, and walked like they was the wrath of God incarnate. Children wasn't afraid of them. The local ne'er-do-wells feared them, and the would-be toughs did too. One dog was dark brown, the other's black, both of them long-haired, and generally looked like them German police dogs, but the biggest you'd ever seen in your life. The old man didn't have to give them commands, just clicked his tongue and pointed, or just pointed without saying a word. And the dogs went and did what he wanted them to go and do, like they was a force of nature, but his to command. They didn't frighten cats neither. Old man attracted cats like a magnet tugs on cold iron, but the dogs never even growled at them, nor they them in return. Cats loved old man. Birds too, but that was spooky. He named the dogs Thunder and Lightning. Thunder was the brown dog, Lightning was the black one. They was always around the old man, even when you couldn't see him nowhere. Some young tough would start to give old man trouble, and them dogs came out of nowhere, like storm clouds coming out from behind the ridge to drop a summer squall or a tornado. They was always quiet too, leastways as they wanted to be loud, and then they growled like a lynx the size of a bull. Ain't nobody alive wants to hear that sound. No sirree. Now about those stories about the old man. One I heard tell of once concerned the day when the local coal mines had a whole gallery collapse. Right about shift change, the night workers shuffled out looking for the fellas on the day shift and found a rock fall blocking the road out and in. Nobody heard the rock slide in the night. Nobody felt it happen neither. It was just there one morning like it'd always been there, right across the only road to the mine. Everybody got delayed going home or coming in. Nobody was the least bit happy about it. Then they heard a cave-in, groaning and a movement, and a dust came boiling out of the mine entrance like the hateful breath of the devil himself. 4 of the miners was still inside, but over 50 of them was out, day shift and night shift alike. One of the miners up topside claimed he saw old Dan standing way up on the hill from where the rockfall happened, but then, like magic, he was there in amongst them, taking charge and giving orders like he expected to be obeyed, like he was in command all of a sudden, and the men found they was doing it, whatever the old man said to do. His quiet voice carried to every ear. Whatever he said had impacted the gospel itself, and everyone there pitched in to clear the mine entrance so the men trapped inside might have a ghost of a chance of getting out alive. I hear tell the old man waded in himself, throwing rocks aside like there was so much sponge cake. The dogs was there a-digging and a-scratching at the rocks right next to the old man. Seemed like half the cats in the county, too. There was even talk of an eagle flew down and started scratching at the rocks like a chicken, flinging rocks out the way. 'Tweren't long before everybody knew they did need even more help to save the men inside the mine.
Runners set out to alert the townsfolk, but that would have took some time. Then the old man called the crows. Way I heard it, as soon as the runners set out, the old man stood up straight, taller than anybody ever remembered him to be, grabbed his walking stick and jabbed it in the ground like it's a fence post. Sparks flew from the tip of the stick when it struck the rock. Old man tipped his head back and started calling like a crow. His voice echoed from the hills and the ridges, getting louder and louder. And the crows come. They come up like a thundercloud, darkening the sky in their multitude, circling like a tornado, and then split to head for all the nearby towns. Like rivers of ink in the cloudless blue sky, they set up such a ruckus in the towns that people just had to come outside and see what was the matter. And then they came, following the path the crows marked out, till every able-bodied soul for miles around started heading for the mine. Long story short, there's soon there a couple of hundred folks at the mine, clearing away rubble till the men inside was able to crawl out. Not one life was lost that day. By the time the last man got out, the birds were gone, and when the folks began to look around for the old man, well, he was gone too. But his stick was still set in the ground, as unmovable as an oak tree, stout as the old hickory it was made of. Nobody could budge it an inch. And the mine gave an almighty groan as another collapse hit its halls. Coal dust and dirt boiled out in a choking cloud. When folks remembered to look at the stick again, it's gone without a trace, like a dam blocking a mighty river. When the stick was removed, the mine collapsed completely. Not one life was lost that day. There was another story. One time, a little girl, about 12 years old or so, got caught in a sudden snowstorm up on the ridge where she'd gone berry picking for Granny to make a pie for the family Sunday dinner. People searched, but couldn't find her. As it got too dark for even lanterns to guide their steps, they heard what they thought was wolves howling in the distance. They shuffled home in the growing darkness, heads downcast, bereft of hope for the safe return of their little girl. The families, they spent a sleepless night in prayer for the safety of their daughter. Churches held all-night vigils, likewise in prayer, till dawn the following day. Come the sun the next day, even before the townspeople could once again set out to search, old Dan in his heavy woolen coat come striding into town, big boots crunching the fresh snow with every step, dogs beside him, as he made his way to the home of the family of the missing girl. His coat was tied tightly about his waist, sleeves empty, and his dog, Thunder, stood up on hind legs to knock on the family's door. The mother of the girl wrenched the door open and said she wanted to tear it off its hinges. Without a word, old Dan went in, opened his coat from the inside, and laid the little girl on her granny's feather bed. Covering her with a thick blanket, he turned and softly spoke to the mother and grandmother and father. Don't try and wake her, he said. She's in a healing sleep. She won't feed him when she wakes up tomorrow morning. Give her whatever she wants, but please make sure she drinks his potion before she eats anything. He handed the mother a tall old medicine bottle, like from the days before the Great War. It's just herbs to help her body heal from the cold. She'll be tired for several days. She'll eat like a horse. She'll sleep a lot for the next few days, but she will heal completely. She won't remember what happened to her after the snow began to fall. She won't remember my finding her, taking her to my house and feeding her, giving her a potion to help her sleep without pain. She told me her name was Aurora, but I know you named her Beverly, after her great-grandmother. Fine woman, Did real good for herself. Call the girl Aurora from now on. She chose the name. It suits her. She'll never be sick another day in her life. She'll grow to be a strong woman. She'll find a good man to wed when she's grown herself. I'll see to that. Oh, she'll give you no end of trouble till she takes a husband. After that, he'll have to watch his own steps. When the school here has taught her everything it can, tell her I'm willing to teach her herb lore and medicine and all manner of practical things, but only if she so chooses to learn those. Her life will ever be her own, but for now, she's under my protection. Blessings be upon this house and to all that dwell within it, forever and ever. Amen. With that, he bowed to the father, bowed to the mother, and took the grandmother's hand, kissing it. I remember thee, Rosemary, he said to her. Thy pecan pie is worthy of the gods themselves. You have ever been blessed in my memory and in the memories of the others. When your work is done, I will remember thee. For all my days, I will remember thee. Did I not tell thee once that thou wilt have a long and happy life, granddaughter? I see that thou hast, indeed, gained everything thou wished to have. And at the end of days, my house is ever open to thee, if that is still thy wish. Then he left, back into the snow, dogs at his side, to return to the ridge above the town until needed again. That's just a small sample of the stories surrounding Old Dan, where he came from, when he came from, where his house on the ridge is, and why he does what he does, or how he does what he does. No one knows. Maybe he was there when the sun first ever shone over the Smoky Mountains. Maybe longer. As to why he cares so much about his neighbors, maybe the clue's in the name. Old Dan, Old Dan, Old Dan, Odin. Perhaps. If so, then who are the others the old man spoke of? Maybe, just maybe, if we're really lucky, if we're kind and gentle and compassionate, magic is loose in the world tonight. The end.
Yep, I'm proud of that. I'm really proud of that. I wrote the story. I wanted someone to do the audio story version of it, and then I realized there are very, very few people still alive these days that know the accent and the inflections necessary to make it what it should be. The Appalachian Smoky Mountain story in the traditions I grew up with as a child when I was living there. I pretty much decided that no one else is going to be able to do this as well as I can. So I did. I recorded it. There were a couple of places where I had to go back. Um, Believe it or not, I had, because of limitations in my audio editing software, because it got, God help me, upgraded without my permission. I had to do it all in one take. But this is just the hazards of using really, really, really dependable programs that somebody decided needed an upgrade that degraded their utility. Oh, uh, Rob, thank you very much. Um, I was at a loss as to what to do to entertain folks until I could do the. Well, I'm sorry. Really short show tonight, but oh, thank you. Your opinion is one of those I highly, highly respect. Um, one of these days you're gonna have to pop on. Uh, don't even have to have the camera on. It just avatar or whatever. Um, you're a handsome lad. The ladies will fancy you. Um, did I say that out loud? Yes, I did. Uh, it's just, it was a story I wrote, a story I read. I'm not a voice actor. I am just another writer who knows what the voices in his head are supposed to sound like. Um, done this before uh, several times actually, but they never wound up on uh, my Bandcamp channel like this one did. Uh, However, I have done a dramatic reading of some other stuff uh, during an interview show. Thank you, Yvonne. And, well, actually, Yvonne wasn't the only one that got me to read some of my stuff out loud. And I'm still, I'm not a voice actor. I'm just a writer. But I know what those voices in my head are supposed to sound like. So occasionally I do what I do, and there you go. Um, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, I apologize. And if you went to sleep, it's because I have one of those soothing voices that that's neither here nor there. Um, Not quite important, and not quite unimportant either way. Um, Now, um, I pulled up Rob's comment, Atomic Snack Bar. Yeah, here you go. If you have not gone to his channel and subscribed, you're cheating yourself out of a lot. I mean, seriously, Rob covers an amazing assortment of classic sci-fi and fantasy movies from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever takes his fancy. He's like me. He loves old movies, and he shows them the respect that they deserve, even though they are not one of these overproduced, highly pampered movie productions that we get these days. Nowadays, you get stuff that's mostly oatmeal, thinned out, with no sugar or any condiments put into it. It's just, hey, here's the latest, greatest thing, which isn't always the latest and greatest. It may be the latest, but it's not the greatest. It's just, hey, here's something else we can market to the masses. Oh, wait a minute, Rob. What is that? Uh, don't forget, don't forget to mention my 12-part series on the joys of girlhood. Oh, you're gonna, you're gonna have to join in here and explain that one. Um, uh, Carl's one of our mutual friends, and he writes very, very interesting stories, and sometimes they are very disturbing stories. But I will say that Carl Witzman is one of those writers where if you if you get one of his books and you click with it, uh, you're not going to sleep until you finish the entire thing. It's that good. You cannot put it down. Uh, his Somerton Man book, yes, I was very familiar with the not only the historical record but the legend, and he turned it into something different and much more enjoyable. And I I got it. I opened it up and I couldn't stop reading until I was finished. And when I was finished, I was going, "Oh, wish there was more." But this ties everything up. That there's no way there could be a sequel. He did something on the Mad Gasser Mascatoon, and people are going, "Oh, we need a sequel." So he wrote a sequel that there's no chance of continuing it into a series. Um, you would have to know that particular bit of history, that particular mystery, to be able to see or even remotely understand why it there can't be any follow up besides Carl's second book. which is exactly why I wrote the second book that way. Oh, and while you're at it, Carl's beloved Donna Carleen, she is also a very amazing writer, and she has several series I do not have commercials for, otherwise I'd play them. I don't generally do commercials on this show. I mean, I do commercials for me, but not for many other people. So it's weird, but I will mention that these are folks that you should look up. I think Don's books and Carl's books are available on Lulu.com because the Mighty River thing is a bit of a impediment to creativity. Um, Basically, they want to steal your money and give you no publication and no widespread anything. You just have to hope that people will go and visit and see what you've got available. Oh, I got my second. See if the camera will pick this up. My second Three Ravens coin for turning out what my publisher called one of the greatest noir adventures that he ever read. And I'm going, well, that was the time period that I was writing in, focusing in. So thank you. It succeeded that way. But it was also for very, very careful and very discerning readers with a long history of this is amazing or this is stuff I grew up with, whether it was The Shadow or Spider or Doc Savage or anything like that. Almost Pulp Fiction sort of stuff. But he proclaimed it to be one of the best he ever read. And I'm quite chuffed because when your publisher says, this is the best I've ever read in this genre, I'm going, okay. Wish the next four were part of that genre, but they're not because I branched out into other directions entirely. We shall see. He has one more book of mine already finished, well, I'm sure we'll have to fine tune the editing a bit because be a fool not to. But it was originally a shared universe story. I was doing a framing novel for a series of shared universe stories. Almost everything was invented by someone else. I finally wrangled permission from that someone else to publish my framing novel that I was asked to write for the series. And I still think it's one of the finest things I've ever written. My present wife boarded a Greyhound bus with a copy of this, a printout of this that I'd mailed to her. And she was reading it on the 3-day Greyhound bus trip from New Mexico to here in Georgia. And she said after the first day, she had forgotten that I was the person that wrote it. It was just, oh, and she got so absorbed in it. She got every nuance. Yes, that's an advert for a book that hasn't been published yet. Yada, yada, yada. Please don't come at me. My publisher will put it out when it is my turn. Okay? That's all I can say. It ain't my turn yet. But if you see something called Fly By Wire with my name as the byline, I highly recommend it. It'll take you a week or so to read it all, and it ties in a lot to the shared universe stories that are still online at my easing Aphelion, and enjoy. I've still got to finish the fantasy novel. I've still got to finish the first few bits of the steampunk story and put that out there for the public. I don't know whether or not the publisher will accept it or if I'll have to go through Lulu. Don't know. The future is as yet unwritten. We'll find out. Together, we'll find out. And eventually that book's going to be out. The pure fantasy story is going to be out because it's not my normal comfort zone genre. It's something entirely different for me. So I have to stretch my mind and make it work. And I do believe that anyone that thinks that I'm a decent writer will look at this and go, why didn't you write more? And I'm going, well, this is all there is at the moment. Fantasy is not entirely within my wheelhouse. Science fiction in all sorts of different temporal eras, genres, whatever. I can write that, but pure fantasy, I have been enjoying the challenge. There are bits and pieces I've got done. I'm still trying to figure out how I can get the fantasy characters up to facing the big boss, to put it in video game terms. The one and final enemy. Now, when I figure out how to make that work, I'll be 99% finished with the story. Now, there are things you ought to know. Things that I hide away and don't talk on Facebook that much about. But last man standing, I can relax quite a bit. Writing in different genres. I mean, going from spaceships and ray guns to magic and wizardry. One of those things where if you don't get it right, you're going to be severely critiqued. And while I'm thick-skinned enough to go, critique? Yeah. You didn't like it? Yeah. Did you give me any suggestions on how I might have been able to improve it? No. It's too much like work. Well, I can't improve if I don't know what's wrong. There are occasions when you can intuit what could possibly be wrong with a manuscript. I sort of say with the story or whatever, but it's all the same thing. If the story doesn't work, if it doesn't have real character conflicts, even Godzilla movies fit to that standard. There is always something that might be able to use your technology and defend oneself accordingly, but I bet you can't do it forever. That's the thing. If you're writing in certain genres of alternate universe science fiction, and then you switch gears and go, oh, I'm going to make candles or wax originals for Lost Wax casting of figurines for Dungeons and Dragons, or just those people that just they collect the stuff just because they collect the stuff. Doesn't mean that they play, just means They collect the stuff. Let's see what else am I got going on here. You should see the living room right now because the contractors have got it looking really good, and they got box after box after box of the laminate flooring that my wife and I agreed on. This is what we want. If you're married, please get your wife's input on things. If you're checking up, get your partner's influence on things. Just try not to go overboard. Don't know that I've got anything meaningful else to say. So I will. Nope. Covered all the comments so far. Let me put back to. There you go. Always remember the power to create. Once you realize that you have that, cannot in all justice be taken away from you. And if necessary, like some of the immigrants to Africa found out, you can and probably should redecorate for the time period that you experience from day to day. I wouldn't want to take a narrowboat out on the river, but these folks do. I wouldn't want to wind up in MacMesog doing shady stuff around the corner of the shipping crate I was in. You just have to figure that been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, go away. Sounds like a very supreme plan to me. Let's see. Well, folks, that's about all for me, and any audio comments whatsoever, let me, oh, good Lord, it won't let me do that. Nope, there's a dozen different things. Evidently, I clicked the wrong thing a couple of directories ago. So, yeah, that's pain in the butt, but let me close now before I fall out. All right. Thank you all, everyone in the audience, for watching this mindless rambling thing. thank you for saving old wife's plastic plant that she didn't know was plastic, but now she'll be able to put it out in the rain. Um, Seafood salad, chicken salad. Um, I don't know anywhere that has a mountain lion salad. And I'm going, I've seen them on the top row of the hospital and then jump down at somebody. Ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. Yeah, Mm, 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 mm. Always wanted to know why didn't we just get a piece of cornhole and SMOFs and pick it up there, but the second town. Come on. Mm. Come on, come on, come on now, come on now. And that is where World War II became handy. Now I can keep letting it go, or I can. Oh, come on now. Okay. What should we find?